All right. So, UWW, they almost have it right. They're close to having a real good product. And listen, I love wrestling. I love watching wrestling. And I want the UWW to have the best product possible. So, I talked in a video last week, I believe it was the Junior Worlds one, about how really the two rule issues they need to fix are, number one, grounded. It's stupid. And number two, that there's essentially unlimited injury time with no penalty for taking injury time. So if people are tired, they just do the old whirly bird, give me some cold spray, and they get a break. So I talked about those last week. Let me talk about the other thing they need to do for us fans to make this more palatable. They need to have a season. Think about every other sport. I'm going to explain to you all the other sports. Okay, in America and really around the world, whether you're talking about soccer in Europe or whatever, right? Football, basketball, hockey, they all have a season. Okay? And so you're going to expect your team to play X amount of games, and then, right? And then they're going to have a finale of some sort where they pick the winner. In individual sports, tennis, golf, maybe they don't have exact seasons, but they kind of have like, here are the events that are going to happen, and you can know that the best people are going to show up at the big ones, right? Maybe not every single event are the best people want to show up at, but all of the big ones, right, the majors, they're going to be at. And the fan interest is drawn by the athletes, right? We're not drawn by just the thing happening. We want to see people we know. We want to see people who we think are good. We want to see people who are captivated by it competing. And wrestling doesn't have this. Now, we could go to one other model, which would be mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts doesn't necessarily have a season, but think about the structure in which they work. They have, so the UFC, the big one, right? They have, UFC 306 just happened. They have 2 title fights. So the titles, in this case, are kind of lineal, and they're always up for grab. So the wrestling's different. There's a world championship every year, which is why a season format would make more sense. If they wanted to switch to something where we have a champion, and that championship belt is always up for grabs, and so if you have, 10 weight classes in each style, that's 30. I could do just men's and women's freestyle, Greco, you know how I feel about that. So if you have 20 belts and they're up for grabs, and you do, say 10 major events per year, and then you would have, right, 2 belts up for grabs at each one. Okay, fine, I could do that. I think the season format's better. So let me just lay this out for you, UWW. I think this is relatively simple. I think it's easy, and my ideas are going to cost you $0. I just want to see wrestling. I love wrestling. I'm not going to charge you for my ideas. So listen, you start in, we'll say a March or April or something like that, okay? You tell all the countries, hey countries, you're supposed to have your domestic championships at this time, okay? You tell everyone, hey, everyone, the Continentals happen at this time, okay? And then you have, we'll say somewhere between 3 and 6 tournaments that, bigger, major, we'll call them majors, right? You might also have minor tournaments where, people who are up and coming who are trying to attend, like, golf has different tours where not the best people go, but other people can go. Obviously, there's minor leagues in a lot of other sports as well, so you could have those things. But you have, say, 3 to 6 majors, okay? So we'll say, March, April, those are your domestic championships in the country. We'll probably say just after that is the Continentals, right, that everyone's going to have. And then you're having the Worlds in September, so you have this season that can go June, July, August, leading into the championships. Now, how does this work? Well, this is simple. In order to wrestle at the World Championships, you have to compete in X amount of events. We can make this happen. Of course, every sport does this. They don't say, hey, Denver Broncos, you don't have to show up at any of your games so you can play in the Super Bowl. I mean, do you realize how preposterous that sounds? Ridiculous. Dang it, I try not to say the F word. Can you bleep that out for me? Thank you. Okay. We're going to bleep the F word out. Try not to say it, but you made me mad. The Broncos don't just get to show up at the Super Bowl championships. They got to play games. They got to earn the right to be there. So you say, hey, everyone, you have to show up at, maybe not every single event. We're going to say some of them. That's not unrealistic to ask athletes to actually compete in the sport that they're training for. Guys, this isn't unrealistic. Think about this. They have to do this in the NCAA. You have to show up at X amount of matches. Otherwise, you cannot get an automatic qualifying spot for the championships. You could still potentially earn it at that last chance, and so maybe you could have that. Okay? So at each event, you're getting points, And then the points, right? So this is a season format. Each event you get points. The points build up, and this builds up to a seed for the Worlds. Because right now you have seeds, but the seeds are, now they're better than nothing, but they are relatively ineffective because you don't have people wrestling in the season. So if you have a couple really good guys who are unseeded, then that makes the seeds not nearly as valuable, right? If you're the number 1 seed and the number 2 and 3 best guys are unseeded and you could wrestle one in the first round, that makes your number 1 seed not as valuable, right? If you know 1 through 8 are seeded and at the very worst you're gonna have the 9th best guy first round, well, that makes the number 1 seed way more valuable. But if it's not valuable, then people are unincentivized to go earn seeds. Well, if you force people to wrestle in tournaments at which they can earn a seed, then the seeds have a certain amount of value and that people are going to really want them. This really isn't a complex concept. It's actually very simple to understand. And if you have the best people wrestling in these tournaments, people are going to want to watch them more, right? UWW, you're trying to create this product that people are excited to see, that people want to see. And I mentioned in the trials video that like at 79 kilograms, I'm sure Russia and Iran are going to have good people, but I don't know who they are. Because we don't have seasons. Because we don't know who the competitors are. Now, if you say, hey, Ben, during the season, who's Ohio State's 149? I could probably tell you. Right? If you say, who's going to show up with the Big Ten Championship with 174 pounds? I got some pretty good guesses. Because I probably watched them during the season. We can't do that with international wrestling because we don't have a season. Because we don't know who their competitors are. It's almost like why do we want to keep this a secret? The best wrestlers in the world should be very well known to us, wrestling fans, of course. And we should be able to follow them and watch them multiple times. I like watching Sergey wrestle. I want to watch him wrestle. I like watching Ted Zudnov wrestle. I want to watch him wrestle. I like watching Musakayev. I want to watch these people as frequently as possible. Okay, so from say June to August, you have 3 to 6 tournaments. This is the season. Ideally, maybe there's some financial incentive. They get prize money for winning certain tournaments. They build up to a seed. And then the other part of this is, because I think this would help the transfers problem, because I think, yes, transfers is a problem. I think you can still have a limit. The limit could be maybe 3 or 4. But if certain people earn spots through points, a country can have more than a singular representative. How awesome, please just tell me how awesome this would be, because it would be so awesome, right? So if at 79 kilograms, Jordan Brose is the representative, but Chance Marsteller and Keegan O'Toole have earned enough points, right? So maybe you have 5 wild cards, which are split up between every non-rep, right? And you obviously would, right? And if you remember in the beginning, don't worry, I've thought this through. In the beginning, your domestic tournaments have determined your representative, your number 1 guy, and then you have the continentals. So then you're not going to be able to say, Bob, well, I'll use an actual example. Oh, David Taylor didn't go and he didn't earn the points, so we're not going to make him the official representative. We're actually going to make Zahid, because he has the points, official representative, and then, we're going to mix him up. No, that can't happen. We've determined who the official representative is, and then we can get more if they earn the proper amount of points through the tournament structure. So that will also incentivize the 2s and 3s and 4s from other countries to attend these tournaments, to make these tournaments really tough. What do we want to see? We want to see tough wrestling tournaments with really good competitors. We want to get to know the competitors through the season, so I can say, hey, at the Big 12s, I know who's at 133. Hey, so when I see the Yasser Dogu or pick the tournament in August, I know who's going to be at 61. I know it's going to be this guy, this guy, this guy. And these guys are going to be there. They're going to be really good. So I don't think this is far-fetched. I don't think this is complex. I don't know why they don't just make this happen. In UWW, you are completely free to steal my idea of building a wrestling season that makes sense so people who are wrestling fans all across the world can follow your product more easily and get more into it. And the last argument I'll make is, now a lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember this, but I am 40 now. Jesus, I'm old. I actually had this scary thought the other day. Someone said I'm 62 and I thought, shit, I'm just as close to 62 as I am to 18. Dang it, that's old. But when I was younger, it was hard to be a fan of college wrestling. Why? Because I couldn't follow it. I couldn't watch college wrestling matches. They were not available to me. And then what happened? Flow Wrestling came around, as well as some other products. They allowed us to watch college wrestling. And now, what do you guys see? Every NCAA tournament sold out. Big Ten sold out. Dual meets sold out. There are more wrestling fans because we can actually follow the sport of wrestling. UWW will have the exact same thing happen to you. If you allow us to actually follow the sport of wrestling, which we love, you will get more fans. You will build the sport. UWW, please, for the love of God, build us a season that we can follow the sport we love.